So I'm back at the stall with Roy's own spin on Sarawak Kolo Mee. It's 450, 550. But before I go on, right, let me talk about the Laksa Chili Sambal, which I had on my last visit. I could tell it was different. The oil was fuller, richer, and more flavorful, so I suspected it was made using lard, but I wasn't sure. So I had a chat with Roy and found out that his chili sambal is indeed made using lard. So what he does is to make shallot oil using lard and onions. Normally hawkers that make shallot oil, right, they use unhealthy vegetable oil. But that's not the case here, and it results in a fantastically wonderful chili sambal flavor. Unfortunately, there are still some ingredients which actually use vegetable oil. He uses it for his mincemeat, he uses it also for his braised mushrooms, and also when he pan fries the egg. So it is not 100% lard oil. So just FYI, for those of you who are intent on actually eliminating vegetable oils from your diet. Now back to the Kolo Mee. Kolo Mee stalls in Sarawak and Kuching normally offer 3 variations of the dish: white, black and red. And Roy offers all 3. What I have here is the white version. As you can see, it is quite a generous bowl. 550, and you get quite a decent amount of char siu, mincemeat, and there's still a bit of veg here. Also on top, you will see some lard, spring onions and fried onions, and some soup on the side. So tasting the noodles. They're blanched well and they have a very springy noodle texture, and that is how Kolo Mee should feel like. Kolo Mee noodles are similar to instant noodles, and the stall specially imports them from Malaysia. They are tossed in a robust savoury sauce with lots of lard and fried onion oil notes. The flavour is incredibly simple and flavour-packed. For the dish toppings, right, they're fairly generous for the money. So this is the char siu. So generously thick and reasonably tender with occasional fatty bits. Quite moist. The flavour is delicately sweet, not overly sweet. The mincemeat, fatty mincemeat, very nice. Very savoury, decently soft textured and fat rich. Very nicely flavour intense if you eat it on its own. But mix it with the noodles and it blends quite nicely. Okay, one note about the mincemeat, it is cooked with vegetable oil, he said. The reason why he did so is because if he actually cooks it with lard, right, it actually results in the mincemeat becoming very, very oily. So he wanted to avoid that. And then trying the soup on the side, just to see. Okay, fairly rounded flavour. Lots of onions, spring onions. It's got a bit of pepper note and a bit of tanginess. Not too sure where it comes from. Very slightly. One thing about the noodles itself is that it's very, very flavoursome, but it tends to be a bit dry. Or maybe that's what Sarawak Kolo Mee is supposed to be. You can actually add a bit of soup inside to moisten the noodles a bit. So I'm going to moisten my spoon a bit, put 1 char siu, some noodles, just like so. Much better. Actually very impressed with the char siu. Very nice and moist. Oh. Yeah, some mincemeat, piece of pork lard, and some noodles on top. Yeah. You eat it with the mincemeat, it's more savoury. You eat it with the char siu, it gives a slight sweetness to the flavour. Very nice. Woo. I added a splash of soup inside the noodles. Much better. Much more moist. Okay, finished. That was a very incredibly wonderful, sinful, fat-laden, rich noodle dish. I can see why he uses vegetable oil to cook the mincemeat. Because I think that with the addition of that on top, right, it would be even more sinful and fat-laden. And I think it would be too much for most people. So I'm finished with the white Kolo Mee at this stall, but I still have the red and black versions to try. So see you in a few days. Okay, so I'm back here at Chong Peng Noodle House to try the red version of their Sarawak Kolo Mee. As you can see, right, the noodles are very, very red in colour. The seasoning is a bit different from the normal one. Okay, the normal one is basically lard and shallot oil with a bit of stock, I believe. And then it's got white pepper and it's got some light soy sauce with or without chili. The red version is a bit different lah. It's basically lard shallot oil, it's got a bit of light soy sauce, a bit of white pepper, maybe just a bit of stock water and the char siu marinade inside. Okay, the red version basically makes the dish sweeter lah, and it gives it that reddish hue. It's got this pork oil richness which is absolutely wonderful. So the red version is really for people who like their kolo meat a little bit on the sweeter side. But for those who actually prefer a more balanced taste, right, the white version is still the best lah. Again, the noodles can be a little bit on the dry side. I suppose you can add a little bit of soup inside lah. So like make it a little bit more moist. And I prefer it this way. I've got a char siu slice here and a bit of pork lard on top. With just a dash of soup inside, right? It adds more moistness. It's perfect. So I've tried the white and red versions of the Sarawak kolo mee. I'll be back to try the last version, which is their black version. So see you soon. Okay, I'm back in Tum Ping Noodle House to try the last variation of their Sarawak kolo mee, the black version. Apparently this is mostly eaten in West Malaysia lah. What I understand is that in Sarawak, the original one is the white one. Then in Kuching, they tend to eat the red version, and in West Malaysia, they tend to eat the black version, which is this one right here. So as for the seasoning, there's light soy sauce, there's dark soy sauce, it's white pepper, it's got a bit of stock inside, and of course the all-important shallot oil, which is cooked in lard. So just try the noodles first. Absolutely wonderful. So obviously it's got that soy sauce flavour, that dark soy sauce flavour. But because dark soy sauce is slightly sweet, right, there's a slight sheen of sweetness. But it is not as sweet as the red version, which has the char siu marinade inside lah. So arguably, right, maybe the black one is actually the best of the three versions lah. And so you can sort of like consider the black one to be in between the white one and the red one lah. The red one is for people who like it sweet. The white one is for people who don't like it sweet. And the black one is for people who like it just a bit sweet. So as usual, the same rule applies now, okay? If you eat the noodles with the mincemeat, it's not going to be so sweet. But if you eat it with the char siu, that's going to be a bit sweeter. So I have some of the noodles, some char siu on top, and a piece of lard.